How many of you remember a dispute with your partner about household or family organization in the past week? If you don't, good for you. But if you remember such a dispute, as you can see, you're not alone. Especially with the rising numbers of families with both partners working and sharing childcare and household chores. This is a relevant topic. In fact, research has shown that the daily hassles are one of the main reasons for couples separating. Today, you'll learn about the journey my husband and I began, so as to reduce this kind of stress in our family life. Our journey started about 7 years ago, just before the birth of our first son. As so many parents nowadays, we wanted to have both, pursuing our careers and spending time with our child. We thought we were well prepared. I had planned to continue working in a leadership position in financial services, but now part-time. And my partner, he had negotiated with the co-founders of his startup to have a Papa Day once a week. For the other 2 days, we found a great kindergarten that would take care of our precious son. But soon after maternity leave, reality struck. It was my 35th birthday, a rainy Monday in October. Our baby had just turned 1. Even though it was my birthday, and Mondays usually being my home day, I had to attend a business meeting in the afternoon. At lunchtime, I was trying to feed our son my freshly cooked carrot and potato mash. I say trying because the little guy was more interested in playing with his food and putting it everywhere except in his mouth. If you've ever fed a 1-year-old, you might know the scenario. Just an hour later, after having left Junior in the safe hands of my mother, and probably still with some orange leftovers from his lunch in my hair, I presented my ideas on how to enhance customer focus to our management team. I don't remember which task was harder, feeding our son or convincing management of my ideas. But what I remember is that after I got home that evening and switched back into mama mode, I was really exhausted and not at all in the mood for celebrating. Exhausted because my head was in a constant spin with an endless to-do list. At the time, dialogues as the following one were pretty common in our relationship. Do you know, we need a birthday present for Sophie. It's her birthday next week. And we need to tell Kita that we're on holidays in June. Oh, and didn't we want to ask Peter if they're available for the weekend? Yeah? You know, it's so tiring that it's just me thinking about all these things. Okay? But you do know that I brought Luke to the kindergarten every day this week, and I just cleaned the car yesterday. I know, but this is not my point. So what is your point then? At the time, I couldn't really name it. Meanwhile, I know this invisible cognitive labor is called the mental load. And even though my partner is a very hands-on dad, I felt alone. Alone with all the organizational aspects of managing a family. And I was wondering, why was our private life so chaotic and opposite to our business life, where we are both well organized? Was there something to learn from our jobs to take home? And I give the secret away. Yes, there was. At the time, I had just been appointed to set up a new team and lead an initiative to enhance customer focus in our company. As an interdisciplinary team that aimed to show results quickly, we had decided for an agile setup. Every 3 weeks, we would define the task for the following so-called sprint. And suddenly I knew this is what we need at home, because the joint plannings help to make tasks visible, to prioritize and allocate. So I borrowed a flip chart, bought a pile of Post-its, and asked my husband to try out something new. Luckily, he was in right away. From then on, every second Sunday evening, when kids were in bed, we stood in front of our board, which you can see here, and discussed about the tasks of the upcoming 2 weeks and who does what. For the first time, I could literally dispose of my mental load by writing it down on sticky notes. It was truly a relief. However, it needed a major shock to reveal one important aspect hadn't yet been solved. Our shock moment was a closed door at 7:30 in the morning. As usual, I was slightly out of breath when I arrived at the kindergarten to drop off our child. But unlike all the other days, it was quiet when I entered the yard. It took only a few seconds to realize, oh my God, Kita was closed because of a team day. Amongst all the other topics, this major event had gone forgotten and didn't make it on the board. What followed was a furious call to my husband, yelling at him, if I am not thinking about these things, no one is. This slightly stressful experience made it obvious. The joint plannings helped us with the coordination of our daily life and to decide who does what. But it was mostly me putting new tasks on the board, meaning it was still mostly me thinking about all the things that needed to be done. Yet again, the solution to that problem turned out through our work life. And actually, it's pretty obvious, because in business, you have clear responsibilities, don't you? So we realized we need to create departments. And as in business, it's wise to allocate them according to interest and strength. I am head of clothing. I make sure the kids have got warm clothes in the right size once winter hits. And my partner, he got promoted to chief of childcare. He gets all the emails from kindergarten, and if it's closed for whatever reason, he's in charge of finding a solution. But having departments also means you need to be able to let go and accept that your partner does things differently. In business, this is fairly easy for me, but at home, it's still a challenge I'm working on. Just the other days, I was rolling my eyes because Papa and his 2 boys celebrated a successful swimming class with a giant ice cream, just before dinner. But if this is the price of reducing mental load, I'm more than happy to pay it. It's a great feeling if kindergarten writes an email and I don't have to worry. I can only recommend making responsibilities explicit. Now that our boys are growing older, they just turned 4 and 7, they evolve from being our most important stakeholders into team members. Therefore, we want to integrate them into our family organization. So we started to perform an easy version of one of my favorite methods from work, the retrospectives. It's an important aspect of an agile setup to regularly reflect what went well and what to do better as a team. It's an excellent opportunity to bring up the good, but especially also the difficult issues. First, we wanted to do these retrospectives with our boys weekly, but we soon realized for a small child, a week almost feels like their whole life. They barely know what they did the day before. So we apply a simplified version of it. Usually, during dinner, each of us answers 2 questions. What went well today, and what did not go so well? Oftentimes, the answer of the boys to the question, what did not go so well and can be done better the next day is, we didn't get any ice cream and should tomorrow. I guess that's what most kids would answer, right? But sometimes, we get really good solutions. One evening, for example, I said there was too much quarreling between the boys, which I didn't like. And they came up with the idea to use a magic word. So whenever they started arguing, we would say, simsalabim, and they would stop, at least for a while. The effect got lost soon, but at least we had peace for some time. And more importantly, we create engagement amongst all team members. So the combination of sprint plannings, so the joint plannings, the clear responsibilities, and the retrospectives have helped us to become more efficient and reduce stress, especially on my side. So organization-wise, we have evolved from a non-coordinated startup that just somehow needs to survive into a solid, structured small business. But thinking about the analogies, I realized, unlike any good business, we were lacking a common vision. Because as a leader, I always emphasize developing a joint vision with my team. Because the process of doing it is unifying, and it helps to make sure everybody works in the same direction. So again, I was wondering, why have I never done it with my partner? Have you? So the day before one of our rare date nights, I asked my husband to think about his ideal day in 10 years' time and to write it down. I know it's not always easy being married to me, but at least I did the same. And we had a great evening, talking about our visions. And luckily, we both integrated the other one in an ideal day in 10 years' time. Quite a relief already. We talked about our wishes for the future and how to steer in that direction in our daily life. We both agreed that in a decade, we want to look back on many unforgettable family experiences. And therefore, we want to travel now that the kids still want to come along with us. So we planned and finally realized a 3-month trip to Australia and New Zealand at the beginning of last year. In the crazy daily life of a family, there is often not enough room for these kind of discussions. But as in business, it's worthwhile to take time for it every now and then. Let's round up. The joint plannings helped us with the coordination of our daily life. Defining clear responsibilities truly distributed the mental load. Doing retrospectives keep us in conversation as a family, and developing a joint vision creates guiding principles for the bigger decisions in life. So, are we now the most relaxed family on earth? Certainly not. Do we never argue about household chores? I wish. But has a better managed family life led to more equality and happiness in our partnership? Absolutely yes.